The moon is quite possibly the most important part you can know about your chart. Naturally, we are human beings driven by our emotions, no matter how logical we wish or think we are. And your moon sign tells you what kind of emotional needs you have, what you seek for emotional fulfillment. But that's based off of the sign that your moon is in. So what does it mean to have your moon in a specific house? Maybe the 8th house. The house that your moon is in tells you where you find emotional fulfillment. And by knowing and understanding the house that your moon is in, you can fulfill your emotional needs better and not be a victim to your emotional patterns. So in this video series, I'm covering what it means to have the moon in each house. Specifically in this video, I'm talking about what it means to have your moon in your 8th house. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Isabelle and I help you understand who you are using personality typing and astrology. I was the kind of person who did not understand themselves for the life of me. I didn't know what my desires were. I just believed anything anyone said about me, and I never really felt that sense of self-identity or self-knowing. And this led me to feeling constantly confused and not clear on my direction in life, and so I often felt unfulfilled. Then I discovered astrology and personality typing, such as the Enneagram and the Myers-Briggs, and everything made sense. For the first time in my life, I knew what I wanted, I knew how I behaved, and I could finally understand where I was coming from. One of the most important aspects I learned about was my moon sign, and it was really impactful because I never really understood my emotions, and my moon sign was my emotions. So understanding my moon was probably the most important thing I learned about my chart, which is why today I'm talking about what it means to have your moon in your 8th house. If you're unfamiliar with what the moon means or what even a house is in astrology, don't worry, I'm going to cover that all in this video right before I dive into what it means to specifically have your moon in your 8th house. So before I dive into what it means to have a moon in your 8th house, what is the moon in the first place? The moon is our emotions. It is one of our big three, which consists of our sun, moon, and rising. The sun is the ego self. The rising sign is how we appear to other people, but the moon is something much deeper. It is our emotional body. The sign that your moon is in will tell you what kind of emotions you tend to struggle with, what your emotional patterns are, and what you seek for emotional fulfillment. So that's based off of the sign that your moon is in, but what does it mean to have it in a specific house? Does it mean that it's no longer in Taurus? If I thought my birth chart said my moon was in Taurus. There's something different. You have your moon in a sign and a house, and you have to know the house that your moon is in, you have to know your time of birth. So highly recommend pulling your chart with your time of birth in order to know what house it's in. But as for an explanation on what the houses are, there are 12 houses in astrology, and they represent the 12 areas of our lives. So having a moon in your 8th house means something different than having a moon in your 2nd house. This will show you where you seek to find your emotional fulfillment. So think of the difference between the sign versus the house that your moon is in as the sign that your moon is in is the energy you embrace within emotions. It shows the kind of emotions you'll have. Whereas the house that your moon is in will show you where you embrace that energy and how you fulfill that energy. So let's dive into what it means to have your moon in your 8th house. The 8th house in astrology, put shortly, represents intimacy and depth. So each house, one way I like to understand the houses better when I was first introduced to them, that personally helped me, is that each house reflects a zodiac sign. So it's not that they are the exact same, but they take on the tangible qualities that is associated with each zodiac sign. So the 8th house reflects Scorpio themes. And if you know anything about Scorpios, they're deep and mysterious and love to flirt, but they're also not trusting, and they can be quite something to deal with sometimes, according to modern day astrology. So the 8th house has to do with themes of depth, mainly. There's also words like sexuality, inheritance, and death and reincarnation associated with the 12th house, but put simply, it has to do with our intimacy. So when we have a planet in our 8th house, we seek depth and intensity in this area. We seek to be codependent, so to say. So The eighth house comes after the seventh house. And the seventh house is where we first form partnerships. We're neutral, we're open, we partly see ourselves as a standalone and partially see ourselves as part of our partner. We keep that isolation, we keep that separation between us and our partner. We want them beside us, but we don't see ourselves as them. But the eighth house is where we start to merge with a partner, because we realize that we find fulfillment in having a deeper feeling. We have a craving for intensity, for intimacy, and by merging with a partner, we find that feeling. So themes that can come up with the eighth house are merging finances, having deep relationships with people, having intimate connections, having deep conversations, and also having deep relationship with yourself. The eighth house has a lot because it has to do with intimacy and forming close connections. A lot of shadow self can come up along the way. So our negative behaviors can be a theme with eighth house. Other people's negative behaviors, drama, etc. These things come up with eighth house themes. So what does it mean to have a moon in your eighth house? Like I said at the beginning, your house that your moon is in tells you where you seek emotional fulfillment. So people with a moon in their eighth house seek emotional fulfillment through their close, intimate relationships. These are the kind of people who want to merge with another person. Very similar to the seventh house, they might seek partnership or intense experiences for emotional fulfillment. However, whereas the seventh house moon will naturally just open up to people, the eighth house moon is not so trusting. Because they see intensity, because they see the drama, they can't help but be mistrusting. So people with a moon in the eighth house can tend to struggle with finding curious people that pique their curiosity and start forming a relationship, but then backing away because they're afraid of being hurt and they don't want to trust other people. And they continue doing this and they find fulfillment in this because it is an intense experience. The question is it healthy? That is something that the moon in eighth house has to reflect on. After all, there are healthy and unhealthy ways to fulfill our moon sign. Knowing our moon sign is really important because it has to do with our emotional fulfillment, but also our emotional patterns. And so while we should definitely fulfill our moon sign, we have to avoid the patterns that keep us stuck in a happy, sad loop. Because I believe we can be in a much more balanced state of emotions if we just understand our moon sign. Because the eighth house naturally seeks intensity, these people can struggle with constantly changing their surroundings in order to fulfill that sense of intensity when really deep down they want a level of security. Because the eighth house core desire is for intimacy and closeness, they can sometimes often get that confused with intensity. And then instead of chasing a close connection and fulfilling that, they go after intense experiences or changing their environment constantly to fulfill that craving. And what ends up happening is that they're not really fulfilling the core desire. Instead, they're fulfilling a side desire. And then they end up wondering, why am I not happy? Why do I constantly have to jump from one person or place to the next? The moon in eighth house finds a lot of fulfillment in intimacy. They need an intimate connection in order to be fulfilled. And they might seek this. One of the themes with the eighth house is sexuality. And so they might fulfill this through fulfilling sexual desires instead of an intimate connection. People with an eighth house moon might find themselves having a lot of sexual cravings instead of actually fulfilling their desire for intimacy, when really the way that the moon in eighth house can find the most fulfillment is by allowing themselves to trust and forming an intimate relationship with their partner. So in the positive, the moon in eighth house is a very intimate person. They're someone that you feel really connected to when you get to know them. They have so many depths and curiosities and mystery to them that they slowly let you see that makes them the most interesting people that you could ever meet. And once they allow you into their lives, you'll feel a sense of trust that you felt nowhere else. You'll feel a sense of connectedness that you feel nowhere else. But in the negative, the moon in eighth house can struggle with trust and bouncing from one thing to the next. So if you have a moon in your eighth house, notice that desire for intimacy and see if you get it confused with intensity. And ask yourself what fulfills you in the long run. Chances are people with a moon in 8th house really do want something more stable. They just don't know how to get themselves to slow down and trust to receive it. So practicing trust with yourself first will be very important. After all, the moon in 8th house is not just about intimate connections with other people. It's about the connection with ourselves. So by fulfilling that connection with yourself first, and forming an intimate relationship with all aspects of yourself, your goods, your bads, your highs, your lows, your sadness, your joy, your shadows, then you'll be able to more closely trust another person because you can protect yourself. If you enjoyed this video and it helped you understand what it means to have your moon in your 8th house in astrology, please leave a comment below and let me know what sign is your 8th house moon in. I'll give you a little information on what that means in the comments below. But if you want to learn more and dive deep, then book a reading with me. I offer 30-minute readings for $30. The link is in the description to check that out. And while you're down there, you probably want to grab my free birth chart workbook where I walk you through the process of understanding the basics of your chart using journal prompts. This workbook is great for people new to astrology and for people who have read all about their chart, know every single asteroid, but feel like they're not quite applying the information in their chart and they want to change their lives to be more fulfilled. The free birth chart workbook walks you through the process. It has all the journal prompts that I've personally used to start applying my chart instead of just taking in the data, because I was guilty of doing that and I missed out on so many years of living a more fulfilling life because I just didn't understand how to apply it sooner. So get the free birth chart workbook in the link in the description below. You might want to check out the Making Mindfulness Fun bundle while you're down there, where we have 30 workbooks and courses for $30. It's an insane deal. I know, we're crazy for offering it, and I have no idea how long we're going to offer it for. So grab the Making Mindfulness Fun bundle in the link in the description below, where we have all of our workbooks and courses on chakras, astrology, Enneagram, mindfulness, and more. So link is below for the free birth chart workbook, the Making Mindfulness Fun bundle. You can book a reading while you're down there too. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay tuned for more videos on the moon through the signs. From my heart to yours, once again, my name is Isabelle. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and namaste.